and Caitlin Clark being third wheel, playing like an upgraded version of Sue Bird. Now, I've said this previously, and I'll say this again. It does seem to me that Stephanie White thinks Kelsey Mitchell's the best player on this team, Aaliyah Boston's the second best player on this team, and Caitlin Clark needs to sit back and be a role player, finding everybody else other than herself. And that must have got into Caitlin Clark's head, because
nobody saw this coming. Not the critics, not the analysts, and definitely not the people who spent the last year telling everyone to calm down about Caitlin Clark. Because a record connected to LeBron James has suddenly become the center of the biggest basketball conversation in America. And once fans realized what happened, everything exploded. The reactions, the debates, the headlines, all of it. Because this wasn't supposed to happen. Not this fast. Not this dramatically. And certainly not in a way that would force the entire basketball world to pay attention. But that's exactly what happened. The second the numbers started circulating online, social media went into complete meltdown mode. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Sports pages couldn't stop posting about it. Reaction channels immediately jumped on the story. And suddenly everyone was asking the same question. How big is the Caitlin Clark effect really? Because every time people think they've found the limit, she breaks through it. Again. And again. And again. That's why this story feels different. This isn't about a game. This isn't about a box score. This isn't even about a highlight. This is about impact. The kind of impact that changes leagues. The kind of impact that changes business. The kind of impact that changes sports history. Then came the part that nobody could ignore. Because once fans started comparing the numbers to LeBron's record, the conversation became impossible to stop. Immediately. Some people celebrated. Others pushed back. And a few simply sat there in shock. Because regardless of where you stand on Caitlin Clark, the numbers were impossible to ignore. That's when the internet started doing what it always does. Digging deeper. Comparing eras. Comparing influence. Comparing audiences. Comparing moments. And every road somehow led back to the same conclusion. Caitlin Clark has become the biggest story in basketball. Not women's basketball. Basketball. Period. That's when things got even crazier.
Yeah, what Molly was trying to say is that, Shannon, look, we understand that Caitlin Clark is good, but what about the women that laid the foundation? When Michael Jordan, wasn't nobody talking about Connie Hawkins. Nobody was talking about Wilt Chamberlain. Nobody was doing that. That's what we've always done. We talked about the player that's currently playing. That's not to say that there were women that built the league, the Cheryl Swoops, the Cynthia Coopers, the Lisa Leslie, the Pinochet, that we're not trying to dismiss them, but as far as box office, tell me the lady that came in with this. She's basically the LeBron James. The kind of hype that LeBron came into the NBA with, Caitlin Clark came to the WNBA with the same type of hype. And she's back.
Clark for months suddenly started disappearing. Not completely, but enough for fans to notice. People who once questioned the hype suddenly became much quieter. People who predicted the excitement would fade suddenly stopped talking, and supporters noticed every second of it. Then came the reaction Fever fans had been waiting for. Validation. Because many of them believed this moment was coming. They believed Clark's popularity wasn't temporary. They believed the attention wasn't a trend. They believed she was changing the sport. And now they felt like they had proof. Meanwhile, the WNBA found itself facing a reality that becomes clearer every week. The spotlight keeps getting bigger. The audiences keep getting bigger. The expectations keep getting bigger. Everything keeps getting bigger. And at the center of all of it stands Caitlin Clark. Again. Then something fascinating happened. The conversation stopped being about whether Clark was good for the league. That debate ended a long time ago. Now the conversation became about just how far this could go. How many more records could fall? How many more milestones could disappear? How many more moments could redefine the sport? Those questions suddenly became very real.
Somebody told her what to say. Somebody gave her, I ride with her.
This is in regards to how Stephanie White feels about Caitlin Clark now. Remember, Caitlin Clark said, I ride with Coach White. He's going to tell you exactly how Lynn Dunn and Stephanie White are feeling. Remember, this is Lynn Dunn talking to you directly, people.
She has my back. She can't stand you, and rightfully so.
He just said Stephanie White can't stand Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so.
Oh, I guarantee you. I mean, she knows that you got rid of Christy Sides, who was a coach of the year in the WNBA. She knows that you're a diva. Hey, look, nobody is smarter in women's basketball than Steph White.
That is a lie. That is a lie. So this is Lynn Dunn coming up to you and saying, Caitlin Clark's a diva. Stephanie White can't stand her. Oh, you got Christy Sides fired. Oh, and Stephanie White's is the smartest basketball mind in the world. Subbing your best player out in the first 3 minutes of the first quarter is one of the smartest things in the world. Playing 11 different players in the first quarter, the smartest thing in the world. Okay, let's keep listening.
I mean, nobody. Zero, zip, nada. And she knows that you are an absolute menace. And you don't win enough. That's the bigger issue. I mean, you're on a 500 team now. Are the Fever tough enough to work through this? They haven't been. They had their best run without Caitlin Clark. They did. So, again, what a great country. When this is what we're discussing, and she won't accept it, and lesbians, for a coach that's trying to actually coach her and she won't accept it, but we're all supposed to genuflect? Not me. No, not I. All right, here's Whitlock. He had some
So you already heard him say, listen, nobody wants anything to do with Caitlin Clark and this organization. This is Lynn Dunn talking to you. No, none of us want anything to do with Caitlin Clark and this organization. She's a menace. She's this, she's that. This is Lynn Dunn talking to you. Pay attention.
That Stephanie White isn't setting the entire offensive system up, which she 1,000% has. But it doesn't mean others don't play. It doesn't mean others can't thrive. It doesn't mean others can't fill a role. I mean, damn, Stephanie White.
Because if a record connected to one of the most famous basketball players in history can become part of the Caitlin Clark story, what comes next? Nobody knows. And that's exactly why fans are glued to every game, every highlight, every interview, every headline, because it feels like history might be waiting around every corner. Then came the biggest realization of all. This isn't just a Caitlin Clark story anymore. It's a sports story, a mainstream story, a cultural story, the kind of story that reaches people who don't even watch basketball. And that's why the reaction has been so massive. Because records come and go, but moments that change the direction of a sport, those are rare. Very rare. And according to fans, that's exactly what they're witnessing right now. The beginning of something bigger than anyone expected. The beginning of a new era. And if the latest record is any indication, the next chapter could be even more unbelievable than the last. Because one thing is becoming impossible to deny. The Caitlin Clark phenomenon isn't slowing down. It's just getting started.